Okay, welcome everyone to the coaches call tonight. I guess we'll start with if anybody has any questions.
Any word on state, location, date, or teams advancing?
We do not have a location yet. The date we're looking for is beginning of February. I believe February 4th is what we're looking for.
That will depend upon the venue.
So real quick, while we're waiting for people to formulate questions, we have, I thought I saw Josh. Yeah, Josh is here. His tournament is this weekend for Franklin. Josh, I don't know if you, I'm sorry, he's the tournament director for Franklin, for people that don't know. I don't know if you have to rush out or if you want to take questions specifically for you first, or you're just going to hang out for a bit, or...
I'm good until 7, so...
Okay, very good. So if anybody has questions directly related to the Franklin tournament, they do run things a little bit time-wise differently, so maybe Josh will do us a favor and run down his schedule there as well. So Josh, just to fill you in, so mainly the stuff that we've talked about in this forum has been based on the full day schedule. So you might want to just kind of give everybody a rundown at some point.
Sure. So, yeah. So we had a surplus. I don't want to say a surplus of judges, but we had a fair amount, and we would like to run. I'll call it. When I say traditional, this is what we were doing a couple of years back, where all of the judging will take place in the morning, and all of the robot rounds would be taking place in the afternoon. So there's going to be a lot of stuff happening kind of at the same time, but it should all work out. Teams, we feel like it sets them up for success. It allows for lots of coaches meetings with the refs as well. And we do have some other events happening throughout the day that the schedule seemed to align better for. So I've been sending out a few email blasts to teams. I may have one more big one planned for tonight. But yeah, if there's any questions whatsoever about that, feel free to let me know either tonight or over email.
So Josh, has the teams received their schedules or tentative schedules yet? Just curious.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yep, that went out late last week. No complaints as of right now. I do see a question in the chat. If we don't have judging until 10, do we still have to show up at 8? No, you could show up at 9:50, I would say, if you guys really wanted to. Most teams, I would say, that do have a later judging spot will still show up relatively early, make sure everybody gets there, no problems. Teams will then run through any if they have a speech prepared that they want to practice and just get the jitters out. If they wanted to get on the practice tables to start running some robot missions early, that's available. So yeah. Okay. The opening ceremonies. We do have opening ceremonies. It's scheduled for 12:45 right now. So we don't have like a great lunch break built into the schedule. So teams will just kind of have to work around either if they have a late judging session, then they'll have a later robot starting round. So they'll have a little bit of a break there. If you have an early judging session, you'll have one of the first robot rounds. So we'll pretty much go opening ceremonies, 15-20 minutes, right into that first robot round at around 1 o'clock. So we will need those first 4 teams, I would say, to be queued in advance, and we'll make lots of announcements about that. And question about practice table availability. Yes, we will have, assuming the trailer and everything is in there, we should have 4 practice tables available. Historically, we've run either 10 or 15-minute time slots, depending on how much teams are using them. And yeah, pretty much you'll sign up for a slot, and then you'll be able to just come and go. I will throw the caveat in there that the practice tables are not official. So if it works great in that room and works a little bit differently on the practice or on the actual field, you've been warned. Hopefully Jay and others have been echoing that throughout these calls too.
Yeah, actually, let me jump in there real quick, Josh. I didn't think about this until just now. If we're going to do that schedule, um, we may be able to open up tables right before closing ceremonies for anybody that wants, the tournament tables like we used to for teams to adjust or whatever. They probably won't
Oh,
have
for
a lot of time to
central
practice,
calibration?
but yeah, because we'll be there at 10, I think, for the first coaches
Yes.
meeting. So there should be some time for teams to jump on and just calibrate, not necessarily have, a lot of slots to run there, but we'll figure that out.
Yep. So I would say in that morning session, we'll be sure to open that up. I didn't want to put that on the official calendar yet. Just wanted to leave us some time to make sure that we got that all squared away.
Gotcha.
Josh, we ran our tournament at Lakeshore, like you're talking about, on Saturday and Sunday. We did the return to all of our judging was in the morning, and all of the robot games were in the afternoon, and it did run fairly well. Our judges on Saturday had only 15 minutes between each judging session, and they felt a little bit stressed. They felt much better on Sunday with more like 30 minutes in between. But we had a lot of feedback from the teams that had been to, last year and then had been to pre-COVID events, and they really were thrilled that we were back to this type of schedule. They really enjoyed it. It gave teams more time to access the practice tables, which they really, really did appreciate. The other thing we had done, Jay, and I don't know if this is something that I think that we copied it from the state tournament maybe from a couple years ago, but we handed out to each of the teams essentially just printed them off on business cards, just a ticket so that they could come to, they had got 2 tickets so they could come to the official game tables to calibrate, just so that you didn't have like how many times they were coming up. But that was just something we did, Josh, if something to consider.
Yeah, so I just threw that at Josh right here live, so he hasn't heard me say that. We had not discussed at all about practicing on the tables because the full day schedules, we haven't had the ability or haven't had the time slot for that. So don't need to put anything else on your plate there, Josh, but I'm sure they'll want to get calibrated if they can. So if not, so just so teams that haven't been in competition yet. So if you don't know, it's built into the actual setup time for calibration time. So by rule, after your inspection, you get to calibrate your robot and stuff like that. So just putting that out there. So it's not like you're not going to have time to calibrate at all. So if we can get it in the schedule, if Josh can work that in, we will. If not, then we'll, you will have time to calibrate. So I don't want anyone to think you won't have that time. So just do be aware if it's an on the table calibration for some reason during your, after your inspection and before your match, you won't be able to do it with your laptop or your Chromebook or whatever. So, okay, sorry.
Yeah, and thank you for that feedback too about Lakeshore running that. Like, I was curious, so that's great to hear. And I see one other question in here. I had it about practice tables. Yes, by all means, you can bring your laptops to code in between. I, as a coach in the past, have definitely shown up with teams that have only had one, robot mission working, and throughout the day we've got it up to like 5 or 6. So it's hectic, but if there's spots available on the practice tables, I mean, it's fair game. Just I ask that you don't bring your own mats and your own challenge pieces and find a space in the hall. Like that tends to never work out well. So, and yeah, in the past, I haven't had issues with one team hogging all the practice team field spots. We do have attendants that are going to be there managing, making sure times are being kept, and that it is being fair and equitable.
So what Emily may be pointing towards there is there are a lot of tournaments that are not allowing any kind of Bluetooth access or any kind of access like that at all at their tournament, not even in the practice areas and stuff. So that's a good question, Emily, and it's not one I've heard yet this year, but I am aware of that situation that some tournaments have that rule. So none of the ones in Wisconsin that I know of have said anything about that. So, yep. Yes, you can.
And I was at Lakeshore on Saturday, and yeah, they had they had the judging in the morning and the tables in the afternoon for the robot game, and it did run very smoothly. So And there was plenty of time for teams to get to the practice tables there. So,
Well, and I will come out as well and tell you guys that Marquette, we did the full day schedule, and that was great as well. So I don't want anyone to really think that one schedule was better than the other. The full day schedule, tons of time between, tons of ability to go see the matches, and I respect every TD to set up how they want. But yeah, the full days work great too. So I don't want anybody to think that just because a traditional older schedule works well that the full days don't. They seem to all be going great so far. So, and I'm happy to be at all of them. So.
yes, I was at Marquette on Sunday and it was great there too. So.
So Dan was there, and Dan actually did express that he, I think. Go ahead, Dan. What was your opinion on the scheduling and stuff?
Yeah. So the full day schedule ran very smoothly. I mean, it was a great tournament. Yeah, very smooth. However, having been at traditional tournaments before, and specifically Marquette, it really didn't have as much energy in the pits. It was a great day, but because the teams some were doing judging, some were. Am I breaking?
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't cut Dan off. He's breaking up. So.
Is this better? I just drove through a spot that's almost always bad. Am I back?
We can hear you.
Am I back yet? Any better?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, you're okay.
Okay. Sorry, that's a spot that's always bad. Yeah, so it ran smoothly, but because the teams were spread out over different activities, there were less in the pit area, and that really fun energy that you get out of a million teams in the chaos. There was a little less of that. It's a very fun day, but it had a little bit less of that fun energy compared to years past. That was just what I noticed. And my sons, who have been there for an awful lot of these, had a similar thought about it. That very fun, but it just kind of lacked that fun craziness.
The other thing that the judges commented on, we had talked a couple weeks ago with the fact that you really can't start deliberations early. So we did meet immediately after, the opening ceremony as the robot game started, and we did just get to know each other as judges, have a little bit of a conversation, and then we took a break and we went and watched robot games, and we went and toured the pits, which in previous years with a traditional schedule, when you're deliberating right away, you don't have time to do that. So that was really nice that everybody was still there and you could still talk to the kids, which is one of the things that I'd really, really missed in the past, when there were some changes. So that the judges really enjoyed, not that factored into any deliberation because it all was off the rubrics, but still, we still had an opportunity to talk to the kids in that environment and to actually see the robot games. Otherwise, you never get to see the robot games. So that was nice.
Yeah. Kind of to add on to what Dan was saying from an energy perspective, though, Marquette was actually at about 2/3 capacity from what they traditionally are. So there was a third less teams there as well. Yes, there was fewer teams in the pit at any given time just because we had people in the robot game and in judging, but you're also down a third of the teams.
All right.
Yeah, that's very, very true. The judges coming around to the tables, even if it's not official, I thought that was always great for the kids too, because they got another chance to talk and present their project, and they're a little less nervous than they are in the judging. Always thought that was a very good thing the kids got out of it. So if any of that's ever enabled, whether it's part of the judging or not, I still think the kids get a lot of good out of that.
Well, and I'm very confident. I mean, I've seen Josh's schedule, and as far as the robot games and stuff, and it's going to be smooth. It's going to be fine. There's no. You guys will still have the time in between your rounds for iteration. I think we're right at about an hour there too, right, Josh? In between, yeah. So from that standpoint, there shouldn't be any advantages or disadvantages to teams having more time to prepare between matches or less. So yeah. Like I said, I respect any TD to do whatever they want, and I'm sure everybody will do what they think is best for the kids. So, there's another question in chat there, Josh.
So something that Franklin's doing this year is we are having a First Expo. So as we all know, First has lots of different programs outside of FLL Challenge. So Franklin is fortunate to have a few different FLL Explore teams, Discover. I think those are the two younger ones to challenge. And then we invited a First Tech Challenge team from Sussex to come down and demo their robot in their program. And the FRC team out of Franklin is going to have their robot and some kids to talk about theirs. So that's all going to be set up in the library in the afternoon. So it's going to be just another kind of, I don't want to say it's going to be like another set of pits, but it kind of will be. So it'll be lots of different teams, different types of projects. So just another way that we can celebrate First, get everybody this opportunity to see, like, especially for the FLL Challenge kids, hey, well, here's what you can do in a couple years. And to, show the younger kids then, hey, here's what you can look forward to in a couple years. So we're really excited for that this year. It's our first time hosting this. Our judge advisor kind of went, I don't want to say he bit off more than he could chew, but in May, he started this whole thing and he thought maybe we'd get 20 people interested, and there was 160 that showed up at the school that were interested in First.
Nice.
So that's been a fun little hectic project for him to stay organized with all this. So
awesome.
But he will not be double dutying. He is focused on judge advising for the events. So he is passing that off to some other parents as well.
Awesome. Congratulations, Jen. I see you guys are here. Jen's team won the Champions Award Sunday at Marquette. So good job, guys.
Yeah, we liked it.
Yeah. And I have to tell you guys, I'll share my experience. I know we're not here to talk about, how the weekends went specifically, but I have to tell you guys, after being off, this was truly, and I told everybody in Slack as well, I think this was the most fun weekend that I have ever had at FLL tournaments. And I've been to a lot. So this is really right up there as my favorite weekend ever with tournaments. So I appreciate all of you guys for helping make that happen as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Our team had a different experience at the Sunday. They actually made it a point to try to meet up with younger teams and just different teams that we've seen in the past. So I think, that actually made it better for them. They felt a little bit less isolated. So I guess what I would encourage you veteran teams to do is to say hi to some of the younger teams, because I think it would mean a lot. I know that, some of these people have never been to one of these before. I remember our first one, it was really overwhelming. So like I said, we had a good time with it, and it was fun doing the high five line and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, we had a good time. Yep. It was a good event. And I think that the way the Marquette ran it was good for us. It was a long day. It was a long day. And so the kids made a tent underneath our table to get some sensory time away. But yeah, we had a good time.
Good.
Can I just a real quick, Jen mentioned the sensory time at Lakeshore. We, and this is Anna Knudsen's idea. She is absolutely brilliant. She put together a sensory room a couple years ago when we had an event, and it's just a room off to the side that just is a quiet room. She has a couple of things in there that students that need sensory input, squishies, sort of things. We had, I can't even count the number of mentors and parents that came up to me and said, thank you for offering that. We had some teams that they went there before robot runs just to take a breath, calm down. We had one team that said if we hadn't had that room, we think one of our kids would have gone home before they judged. So I don't know, Josh, if that's, I know you've got everything set up, I'm sure, but that is something that maybe if you have just an extra room, just to have some quiet space for kids, that was really, really, really good thing.
Yeah, we were planning on a quiet room, but the sensory or the fidgets and stuff like that, that's a great idea to have. So I'm adding that to my list.
So I do. I just realized we should probably mention that there's also another tournament this weekend at Mukwonago, and I'm not sure what schedule they're running. I apologize. I'm not sure if they're doing a whole day or a half day, but hopefully, if you
I
guys
think he's
are,
doing the whole day like we did in Marquette.
he is,
I believe.
okay.
I believe. That's my understanding.
Okay, I thought that's kind of what I got from the TD call, but I did get verification of that. So if you're here and you don't know for sure and that's your tournament, just contact your TD and double check that schedule. Just like we did last week with Eric talking for Marquette. I don't want people to think that Josh speaks for McGuanago this week as well, because they could be running, and I think they are running different types of schedules. So if you're at Franklin, then absolutely contact Josh, or he can speak for them. But if you're at McGuanago, contact Greg over there, or whoever his VC is. All right. That being said, are there any questions that you guys have, or you can continue to? McGuanago sent an email saying the schedule will be sent later this week. Okay, thank you, Heather. Last I heard from Greg, they were planning a full day, I guess I'm calling it a full day schedule, the reffing all day, because that's where I am. So I realize that both schedules are full day, but the reffing schedule so matches. But yeah, definitely check in with Greg, and he'll get you guys sorted. Any questions that you guys have specifically?
Has there been any discussion of a FLL Explore Discover Expo? One might be.
There was talk that maybe at state there might be, but I don't know that for sure.
Do we know if there will be one?
We don't have any scheduled at this point, but we are looking for volunteers to help out with that if anybody is interested in hosting an event.
Dan,
We lost you, Jen.
Yeah.
Sorry. Dan, are your kids ready right now to go? Because we have a scrimmage tomorrow that's equivalent to an expo. It's very short notice.
No, actually, it's the exact opposite. I try to schedule the start based on when the expo is going to be, so that there isn't a huge gap between when they finish their project and the expo. So yeah, I was asking to try to gauge when to start my kids. So yeah, right now I've got all sorts of interest and a bunch of teams queued up, but we haven't started yet.
So usually if LOL does theirs in Wauwatosa, that's typically like March, early March. So
Yeah,
you're probably
that's what I was
best,
thinking.
your probably best option is that one. And I know the organizer of the event, and I can probably connect you with her.
That would be great.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Dan, I don't know if you guys are following chat, but Danny says she's out of the Oak Creek area there. The Oak Creek tournament has some Explore events happening too. You can talk to the TD. So the TD there is Jerry Christ.
All right.
I think you know him, yeah?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, and I don't want to lose that other. So there was another question from Colleen. I just saw the schedule for Franklin. I see closing ceremonies are only 15 minutes long. Is that when you're giving out awards?
Just typing a response, but yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Award ceremony. That's going to be that. Like some other people said, these are long days, so I'm going to try and keep it 15, 20, hopefully 30 minutes tops. I know I've been to some tournaments in the past that have done, video slideshows and photos and all that stuff. And I don't say like it worked great for them, but as a coach sitting through that, it makes for a long day. So it'll be, we'll cut right to the chase, and, I don't want to say get in and get out, but yeah.
So there's a follow-up.
And yes, advancements are announced after the Champions Award historically. And with 24 teams, we will be advancing 6 teams to the Waukesha sectional, I think. I have to double check that, but I believe it was Waukesha. And
I can tell you here in a second. I'll look it up.
Thank you, Debbie.
Yep.
And opening ceremony, so for Franklin, we are going to not do a parade at the opening ceremony. So it's just going to be, we'll get everybody kind of situated for that. We'll do the parade before closing ceremonies. It's kind of our tricky way of giving judges a little bit more time to finish up deliberations. And it's nice to have the whole team get paraded in at once. And again, as a coach, it was always a bit of a hassle trying to elect or decide on which two kids get to do the parade. So that's how Franklin's going to be running it. And yeah, more info to come in that email that I need to send tonight.
Josh, yes, it is Waukesha for you.
Perfect.
And McGuanago advances to McGuanago. So,
Okay, so there's and no, guys, the reason I'm reading the chat out, I know you guys can read it, but when people are watching the video, they don't see the chat as well. So, and that being said, I'll try to get this video as well posted tonight, like we did last week. So teams that are going to tournament this weekend will have this information ASAP. So, do you see the one there, Debbie? I think that's a you question from Jen, sectional question.
I wanted to ask sectionals questions. Who would I reach out to request a specific time for presentations and robot? That would be, and you're at McGuanago, so it would be the McGuanago director for sectionals. So that would be Greg, yes.
Would you be able to send an email with the contact for who the tournament directors are for both of the sectionals? I have teams from Lakeshore first going to both, and so I'd like to be able to provide that contact information to my coaches if they need to reach out to them.
Yes.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Specific, anything specific to judging or robot games? We're open to any questions you have.
Yeah, I do have to drop.
Okay. All right, Josh.
So yeah, thanks again for having me on tonight. I'm gonna pop my email in here. I've been responding pretty quickly, but yeah, anything comes up for any teams attending Franklin, feel free to shoot them over.
All right, Josh. Thanks, and
Good luck, have fun.
I will post your email. Maybe I shouldn't put it on YouTube. I'll put it on in Slack, and so if anybody wants to get a hold of Josh, let us know, and we'll make sure you get his contact information. There you go. All right, thank you, Josh. Thanks for coming by. All right, other specific questions for anybody? Let's see, I know, Emily, you have tournament this weekend. Danny, you guys are this weekend, yeah? Yep, okay.
Yep, super excited.
Yeah,
Lots
yeah.
to do. But I will say, like, we got to come to the Marquette tournament as a team just to see for some of our rookie team members, and it really was a nice event. And
Yep.
people were like, our kids got to talk to other kids, and they were so excited. And people were. It was just a nice event. So
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure all the events are going to be great. So, like I said, I don't want to perpetuate or push the notion that one format's better than the other. So, you should have stopped in and said hi, Emily. I didn't see you guys. I saw a lot of other teams there. We had other teams stopping in just to observe as well. I know Danny and her team were there, and a couple of the other ones. So, all right. All right, so I guess this will be our last chance to ask robot questions.
Jen, I sent you a direct message with that email address.
Yes, appreciate that. Thank you.
No
I
problem.
just wanted to confirm, Jay, after a little snafu and not understanding the rules at the competition table. At this point, we don't change with any more rule updates, or we still need to pay attention to the rule updates?
Okay, so I actually talked to Karen today, one of the global refs, and she told me I gotta be careful here. Yes, there may be a rule update, but it's not anything that we're not already doing.
Okay, that's good.
And that's all I feel comfortable saying about it. So,
Okay, no, that's fine. I wanted to understand when rules cutoff was, and if it's not going to make any difference, then that's good.
well, I'll be clear about that. The rule that we talked about today, that she told me they are considering doing an update. It's one that we are already doing. So, and all of the team, you guys have already been through it, and we've already talked about it. So,
Okay, so then is there a cutoff for rule updates or clarifications between the two
No.
sectionals,
Yeah.
or?
I would not.
Okay.
So, and I'll tell you guys how we've been handling that in the past. And I think Jeff and I kind of just had a quick couple words about it on a call a couple weeks ago. So, if a rule update were to happen this week, right, that benefited your team in a way you guys do something, then we would adhere to the rule update. If you guys are doing something that is changing your program, that the rule update is changing your program, we would allow the rules as of last week, right? So kind of a moratorium on there. But if it benefits your team, then we would allow that. So we don't want to take points away that you guys have been programming all year for, especially with a couple days left of tournament. So
No, it sounds like you're saying though that, so if it's for this week's tournament, that's one thing, but for the following week, it would
correct.
be for that
Yes.
new rule would be enforced.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not the best at putting everything into the correct terms, but yeah.
Well, I just wanted to ask
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it kind of seemed
Right,
like you were alluding
after
to
a
that.
week,
Right.
after a week, the game update applies equally to all teams.
Yes.
Okay.
What we're,
So
what we're
reaction
saying
time.
is if a game update comes out this week, a couple days before your competition date, if the rule benefits your team, we'll apply it. If the rule change benefits your team, we'll apply it. If the rule update harms your team, then we would be lenient in its application.
Right. For this week only.
Right.
Or I should say for tournament week only. Same thing would happen next week. And they may not release an update. Who knows? We don't know. But yeah, the solid answer is no. There is no hard line of when they can or can't or will not stop doing updates. So I would always check before every practice.
Right. And each tournament stands alone in ranking and who gets to advance from that tournament. So, I mean, if there's a game update the week before the first sectional and a different game update comes out after that for the next sectional, I mean, those are two independent tournaments. And so the updates will apply as they come out.
Any other questions, guys?
Can I ask a question about sectionals?
Sure. I don't have to answer it. Okay. Go ahead.
So,
Go ahead.
sorry, I can turn my video on. My name's Amy, and
Amy.
I'm a mentor from the Lakeshore area, and my team made it to sectionals for the first time. Whoop.
Yay.
Um,
What's your team?
Yay!
Who's your team?
Yay!
7820 Lego Legends.
All right. Good job.
Thank you. So I'm just curious if the sectionals run sort of similarly to the regionals, where they have the judging in the morning and the robot game in the afternoon, and that's what we should sort of plan on, or if it's a totally different ball game. And I'm also curious how many teams move on to state.
Well, okay,
So
you can answer.
Go ahead,
if you
Brian.
want. Okay, I'll go.
I'll answer if you guys don't answer.
Okay, so the tournament could be it's really up to the tournament directors as how the format's going to be, whether it's going to be all day robot, all day judging, or split. That's really up to the tournament.
Okay.
As of this time, it would be Waukesha and McGuanago, and we believe both of them. I'm pretty sure Waukesha would run a full day, and we believe McGuanago is as well. So, unless they change that for the sectionals, it would be full day. So,
When you say full day, you mean that there might
Yeah.
be robot games in the morning as well as in the afternoon?
I would assume, because I believe that's how they're running it this weekend. So, unless they change that, then it would be. When I say full day, I mean robot games full day. and judging full day. So
And approximately how many teams from each sectional go on to state?
There will be a total of 24 teams at the state championship. We'll have to look at how many teams actually compete at each of the sectionals, but
Sure.
could say an average of 12.
Yeah, that sounds great. Cool. I'm excited that we're going. Thank you.
do those advancing numbers go out to teams? I can't remember if that was a TD thing or is that
The advancing numbers went out in the newsletter,
okay?
the last
Okay.
newsletters, actually, yes.
Okay, so I know that's not specifically what you're asking, Amy, but for anybody that might be wondering, the newsletter has the number of teams advancing from each tournament to the next round. It doesn't answer Amy's specific question about how many will be at state, but that'll answer your question as to how many in your specific tournament are advancing to the next round. Anything else? Okay. Anything else we need to share? Brian, do we need to still ask for judges? Or are we pretty okay that you know of? Or anybody still hurting? Or
I talked to Josh on Sunday when he stopped into Marquette. Looked like they could use a few more yet.
Okay.
Last time I talked to Greg about quantity of judges, that was last week. I know he was still looking for some. Oak Creek could use 1 or 2, I believe. And I do not know about Janesville, and I definitely can use some for Waukesha, and I imagine they're going to be in need of judges for McGonigal sectional.
okay. So once again, guys, please do come and judge. And I'm sorry, I don't have that rough numbers either. I know that this weekend at Franklin they don't need referees, but I'm not sure about anybody else at this point. So please volunteer if you can. I mean, if you're happen to be a coach and your team did not advance, it might be a good opportunity for you guys to come and judge and kind of see behind the scenes of how it all works back there, and get some experience for next season as well. I see your question, Colleen. Are you advancing less kids from regionals to sectionals this year, as compared to what? From regionals to sectionals. As compared to previous years, or
Sorry. Yes, as compared to previous years, or at least let's say pre-COVID years. I don't.
okay?
Last year's kind of a blur.
The percentage that
The advancement varies slightly by year, and it depends upon how many sectionals we have and the size of the sectionals. So it could be that this year we're advancing a slightly lower percentage than we did in some previous year that you're thinking of.
Jeff, how many total teams are participating this year?
It's about 213
are competing.
are competing.
Right.
We had 237 teams total who registered, and about 200 and I think it's 13 off the top of my head who actually registered for tournaments. We've had a couple teams then who have backed out even since then, but yeah.
But if I remember
Okay, so
correctly, we were.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I remember correctly, we were pushing about 400 teams right before COVID, and we were running
Yes.
24 team sectionals, right? So we got a little, so the numbers aren't too far off. Probably a
Yeah,
little
it
bit.
sounds like about 10% of the teams will make it to state then. Maybe a little north of that.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
All right, if you guys think of any other questions that you have, you can just reply back to the newsletter that you got, or ask on the Slack channel, obviously, and they will send your questions out to whomever can answer them best.
Wait, I have one more.
Yep,
Sorry.
go
Sorry.
ahead.
For those of us going to sectionals, do we have to bring all that paperwork again? Or since we brought it to our first one, we're good now for the rest of the competitions?
If you brought your consent forms to the first competition and have everything signed and everything, then you're fine for the year.
Okay. All right. So then for anything subsequent, we don't have to bring any more paperwork. We can just show up, sign in, and go straight to whatever activity we have to go first, right?
I would bring your roster that you print out from first maybe, but that's about it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I did see.
Unless you have kids that join your team since you
Right.
competed last.
So I did see someone mention, and I can't remember where it was, that there was a team that maybe didn't have the paperwork that they were expected to have, and there was an issue of signing up for their tournament or signing into their tournament. So please do bring the forms that you're supposed to have with you. And if you're not sure if you need to have them or not, bring them.
Mm-hmm.
I do appreciate, Debbie, that you had sent out that the first consent form on the paper version. We had a lot of parents and a lot of even
Mhm.
coaches that had nothing but trouble with the first website. It was an absolute nightmare. I was getting emails still Friday night, Saturday morning. I can't get in. What do I do? So thank you for forwarding
Yes.
that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, just hold tight 1 second, Emily. Will.
So just,
Yep.
can,
Go ahead.
can I clarify? So if we know 100% that our families are all fine on the first dashboard, and we know 100% that they all did the Badgerbots electronically, do we still need to show up with everything printed and signed as well?
That's what they made us do at Marquette. And that's why one of the teams was panicking because they didn't bring anything with them, Heather. I would bring it with you.
First does ask that teams present their roster when they enter an official tournament.
But do I need to do the Badgerbots form as well? Even if I know that it's all in?
If you've got your entire team has completed it, then that should be sufficient.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So Danny said, "Can you forward it to us?" Danny, you're talking about the Badgerbots form.
I'll send it to her. I'll send it to her
No,
tonight.
just the first Inspires one. We did the Badgerbots. That one was easy. It's the first Inspires that we're struggling with.
I have a copy of that also, so I'll send that to you.
Thank you so much.
What we did at Lakeshore too was just if teams came and they had a roster printed and they were missing kids, or if even before that, we had said if you have a family that can't get in, because there are still people who don't have access to the internet. We just said print out the team roster with who you have and then attach a paper signed form to staple it to it, and then that sufficed for us.
Where do we access all our team's forms to print out? Just on the first site. What about Badgerbots? Okay. So all our forms to print, that would be that would be the roster, right? So that's on the First Inspires website or the portal.
And the roster, at least from an FRC perspective, says whether somebody's got their paperwork in or not. So
Yeah,
Right.
Emily, really, when you print the team roster, if they have done everything they need to do, they'll be listed on the team roster. You don't actually get to see a copy of a signed consent form. It's just a list of the kids who've done what they need to do. So if a kid is not showing up on that team roster, then we gave the parents that paper form and asked them to sign that paper form, and then we stapled it to the team roster. So if we had 10 kids on the team, 8 kids did it online, they showed up on the roster. We had 8 kids on the roster, 2 paper forms attached to the roster. Does that make sense? It was a mess, and it was a nightmare, and it was like tears. So yeah.
Okay, so we need to bring the roster. Yes, bring the roster. That's what I heard Jeff say, that the first forms you should bring with you. just need to bring the roster. So we calling that the roster? Yes. The one they need to bring with them.
From the first portal, you can print your
Okay.
team roster, and that'll list all of your team coaches, mentors, and student members that have completed their registration on the first website.
I think that there's First has like a like they have a sheet that explains how that works and how it goes. There's a PDF that explains that. I think I have it. I can try to find it, and I don't know how I can get to. Should I post it on Slack if I find it?
So Emily specifically is on Slack if she's looking for it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Emily,
I guess,
I'll send you what I can find.
yeah, if you would post that, Jennifer, then if anybody is looking for it, we can direct them there or forward that link as well.
Okay. All right, I'll do that. Do you have a preference as to which of the channels?
I don't care. We'll see it. We'll find it.
All right. All right. Okay.
Maybe
All right,
coach to
thanks.
coach. I guess that would be right. So anybody asking that question are probably looking at the coach one, I'd imagine. I don't know. We'll find it.
Okay.
You guys are pretty
Okay.
good about helping out. If somebody's saying, "Hey," I think everybody kind of monitors all the different channels. So if somebody's looking, they'll say, "Hey, that was posted over here" or something. So, and I do appreciate all that you guys do helping the other teams and guiding them to where they need to go. That's very helpful.
Well, I think you got to level bud first. Teams help teams.
Absolutely.
Okay, I've got to actually talk here. So I have one team member who has a mom and a stepmom, and both of them filled out his consent form. And so he's on there twice, and it makes it look like we have 11 kids. And I don't know how to deal with that. I don't know whose signature I need to keep or whose I could delete, or do I just leave it as it looks like 11 and it's the same kid? I was kind of worried about it a while ago, but I was like, it seems fine right now. But if I have to print out this roster, I could see that causing issues when we show up.
If it causes an issue, I think you can simply do what you just did here and explain the situation. And it shouldn't be a problem.
I mean,
Okay.
it's the same name twice, right?
Yes,
First
but
and
it has a
last,
different
so-
guardian name for both of them. So
Yeah,
that's where.
So I
it's
think
weird.
I think that's fairly explainable to Jeff's point.
Okay, and then just to clarify, the Badgerbot was a separate form, and I don't see the little, like, did they sign something on that? So do we need to have that printed out too, or all I need to bring, as long as everyone's done it all, is that roster?
As long as they've all
Um,
done it and
Okay, I'll make the parents show me the email that says they did it.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying there. You don't know if the parents have done it or not. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know how to check if they have, like, without making them all screenshot it.
I don't even know
Right,
how.
and unfortunately, our system isn't as sophisticated as first, so it doesn't have a portal and a way to print out a roster.
Emily, you could ask them just to forward the email confirmation that they got that they filled it out. Just have them forward that email to you.
Okay, so I'm one of the parents / team administrator for her team. And I'm like, I don't even remember if I filled this out for my own kiddo. So what would we have even gotten from Badgerbot?
So it would have been an email. So I filled it out, and I'll tell you this, it's a lot less paperwork if you just have everybody sign a back-to-back copy of the PDF. But it's like a 4-page long PDF that you would have had to elect to send to yourself.
So it's
Is there
not
any
the
harm if
electronic one, because we filled out one that was just electronic, and it was just like you type in your name and who you are and whether or not you're volunteering, and then you hit submit. Is that not the right one?
If that was the Badgerbots consent and release form, that sounds correct.
Okay.
Is
So
there any
what's the,
harm if they do it twice?
No,
No,
it could be done.
If in
again
doubt, you
if
could do it a second time and check the box, just send the email,
hmm
and then they can forward it to you.
So is there nobody at Badgerbots who just can verify if a team has them all in?
we do have access to the WUFU form, and we can review it if somebody emails us, and then we can look and see if it's in.
yeah, Colleen, I know I sent it out in our group text or something like that. I can send it again, and it took 2 seconds to do. If you just want to do it again, just to be sure, like they said, it wouldn't, that seems easier.
Mhm.
I think I might have that here.
Did the link for
Consent,
it?
yeah.
I have it too. I can get it up pretty quick, I think.
Oh, I thought I could view it in browser. It says you can, but when I open it, it's not formatted. Oh, yeah, okay, I see. When I filled mine out, it sent me back an email with all my information at the bottom. I see.
Yeah, mine did that too, but I had to click that I wanted a copy. So if they didn't click that they wanted a
Gotcha.
copy, then they won't have a copy to say they did it. So I'll make them
Understood,
do it again.
understood.
That might be a good default to change, is just have it send the copy to by default.
Yeah, actually, last time I looked at this, I didn't know that that information at the bottom was even there. I thought it was just a copy of the form again. So I didn't read all the way to the bottom. Okay,
In the Zoom chat, I just posted a link to the form.
thank you.
So did I.
I'm gonna. Is it okay if I pull that? You guys have two different links. Is it okay if I pull that and put it with the YouTube post? No issue with that, right?
Yeah, take Debbie's version. Apparently, mine's last year's.
Okay,
Not working anymore.
gotcha. Okay, I have it.
Mhm.
So I'm sorry. Just to be clear, it's okay to post that on the YouTube with the video.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we also have that in the last week's newsletter too, so that same link.
Okay. All right. Cool. So we'll answer any questions you guys have, but just let us know when you're all out of questions, and we'll let everybody go. I know, Emily, you had some judging stuff you're going to talk when we're done. Okay.
I had put it in the chat. I'm
Oh.
not sure if it went through, but we have been helping a rookie team, and they are an alternate for sectionals. How late will they potentially find out? They're just kind of curious about how long they would need to, keep kind of working. Like, would it be possible that they would find out the week of sectionals, or is there kind of a deadline where you say after that we wouldn't contact them?
It can be up to, say, 3 days before the event. It really depends upon when an advancing team drops out.
Okay, so it can be pretty close. I told her I didn't think
Yes.
they'd call you the night before, but
No.
okay, I'll tell her.
And they'll get asked if they want to go, so they could always, if it doesn't work out for them, they can say no. It's an on deck team.
Yes, I think they would love to go if given the chance. So,
Yeah, well, I think it's a great thing, but it's also stress and
yes, for
schedule
sure.
and all sorts of stuff, right?
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather.
Emily, I think you asked where to get the consent form, like the PDF. If you can give me your email address, I'll email it to you.
Can I post a link to a YouTube video in the chat that has information on how to print your roster? Can I put that there?
Sure, and I can.
Is that okay?
I'll put that with the video as well. That's fine. Is it a first link?
It is. It's right off of the first resources
Sure.
page, and then it's got a whole bunch of other stuff. It's about like how to create a first Lego League Challenge team. But at minute 24:13 has viewing and printing your team roster. So I'll put that in there.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. I just want to make sure we have permission, or what we're linking to, we're allowed to link to. That's why I'm asking if it's an actual first form.
Yeah. Would you like me to send it to you privately first?
No, it's
Look
fine.
at it?
Yeah,
Okay.
if it's first, they can have it.
Okay. Would you drop it into Slack then after you get it off of here?
I can drop it into Slack, and I'm going to post it with the YouTube video as well. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Jay.
You're welcome. Got it.
Any other questions people have? Before we move on to Emily's.
Do you want me to keep the recording rolling for this, Brian, or are we? You said at the end. I wasn't sure if we were going to do it off the recording or on.
Don't. It's probably fine.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sure you guys have learned my personality over the last year. I'm a very, I don't like going into anything blind. I need all the information up front, and I haven't heard anything about this minus going through the little training videos and stuff. I do know a one child on a team that will be there, and I don't know if I need to say something so I'm not judging them just in case, I mean, I obviously wouldn't do anything biased, but I'm sure they have some kind of protocol in place for things like that.
Yeah, I guess the question would be, what's your relationship? How close is the relationship?
It's my son's friend, and I'm really good friends with his mom. So it's not like my nephew, but
Yeah. So it might have an appearance or whatever. So I'd say let the judge advisor know, and they can work to put you in a different room.
okay. And then, you said that I should be getting an email once the schedule is done, and that'll tell me what my schedule. Are they going to give me any more information besides just show up at 8 a.m.?
Yeah, so they will send out when to be where for you. So you should get an email. Chuck is their, forget his last name, but he's their judge advisor. And I talked to the tournament director. He said he'll make sure he gets one out tomorrow to the judges. Okay, I'm waiting for mine too. I'll be judging there as well.
Okay. Okay. Our competition's this weekend, and this is my first time judging this weekend, and it's all happening at once, and I'm kind of panicking.
Yeah, I expect that you'll be there hour plus ahead of time before the judging starts. There's usually a judge meeting in the morning, going over things, the schedule, some reminders, things like that, getting together with the other judges, which room you're going to be in, and divvying up what area you're going to judge.
Okay. That's good information to know. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's all I have.
Okay.
All right.
Have fun, Emily. It's great. It's really cool to judge and watch and see what they have to say and what they've learned. Have a great time.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. It's hard when you can see other teams and what they do in the robot stuff, but you never really ever get to see what other teams do in all the innovation project. And this is, we were first time coaches last year. So it's kind of flying blind the whole time. So I'm really excited to learn more about how the whole process works.
I think you're going to find that your eyes are going to be opened. That was the experience I had. I was 2 or 3 seasons in, and it was literally my world just changed. I mean, there was no secrets kept from us, but we're reading it on paper. You're not experiencing it. Once you experience it and you go through it, you understand more about the rubric. I mean, it's all there in front of you. There's no tricks to it, but you really understand how the process works. That's why I tell you guys every call when we're calling for judges. I mean, even though I'm a ref, that is probably the single most important day that changed my life as a coach. So definitely, if you guys can, volunteer. And Brian pays me every time I say that. I see you laughing, Craig. I got one out of you. All right. Anything else, guys?
Well, just a question for you, Jay.
Oh,
I don't
boy.
know if you've dug into anything to our side conversation about
Gotcha.
that idea our kid had.
Yes and no. I'll send you a message.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, it doesn't sound like there's any more questions. So thank you everyone for attending this week and best of luck to everyone in your future tournaments.
Thank you.
Have fun.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.